Hi everyone, Justin Williams here. I'm the Community Partnership Director at Community Shares of Wisconsin. We're celebrating the Big Share today, so if you haven't had an opportunity yet, definitely go on to www.thebigshare.org and make a donation to one or many nonprofits. There are 70 local nonprofits participating this year. The minimum donation is $5, so just you can use the search bar and type for an organization that you're interested in, either by name or by keyword, and find some groups that anyone could be interested in participating with. But today, I just wanted to introduce you. I'm here with Rob Dees. Rob, as many of you probably know in Madison, is involved in a lot of community activity, and part of that is at the Bubbler here at the Madison Public Library. So I wanted to just have a chat with Rob about some of the work that they've been doing. I know Community Shares and many of our nonprofits have actually benefited from this program of the library. We partnered in the past doing a Photoshop training. We've also done video editing. So obviously this video will be edited at some point, and it is from what I learned here at the Bubbler, so that's pretty cool. But Rob, thanks for joining us. So why don't you just tell the folks a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the work that you do here at the Bubbler.
Well, cool. Thanks for having me, first of all. It all started in a one-room shack in Beloit, Wisconsin. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Rob. I perform by the name of Rob Dees as a musician, obviously. My position here at the Public Library is that I am the digital media Bubblerarian for the Bubbler program, which means that pretty much I have the opportunity pre-COVID to really work with the community on teaching things like audio engineering, videography, obviously you said photography, graphic design work. That's kind of what we kind of work with, is providing access, technology access, and teaching digital literacy. That's kind of our big thing. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed when I first walked in here was the sound booth in the back. That is not something that I've gotten to work with in my experience of working with the Bubbler. But can you tell us a little bit about some of the programming that you offer for the general public, per se, during a non-COVID time? I want to be clear that, you know, the Bubbler has been working digitally during COVID, but there's also opportunities, hopefully when this is all over, said and done, that people can come back into this space and participate. So.
Right, yeah. Well, this is definitely a maker space. So obviously we have a digital audio workstation where we actually show people how it is to record yourself. You know, like we pretty much put you in the seat and say, hey, we're not going to record an album for you, but we'll show you how to record your own album. And from there, we did things like digital audio time, where people could come in for X amount of hours to use the station to kind of create their own content. We kind of did that. One of the big programs that we work with is called Media Academy, which is more based towards middle school and high school kids, where we kind of do an 8-week boot camp. And we partner with the Urban Community Arts Network, UCAN, so we were able to actually teach kids through the culture of hip hop, not necessarily just teaching kids how to be rappers, but like I said, how to use content for social change, and it comes in a myriad of different ways. I mean, we've done documentaries, we've done music videos, we've done albums, you know. So it's the same idea of giving access to people that don't necessarily have the access, and to kind of teach them how to dream for themselves and kind of set themselves up in that way. So that's basically what we do.
Awesome. And going into that sort of social change aspect of this, as you know, a lot of the nonprofits, most of the nonprofits that participate in the Big Share are focused on social justice in the community. And I know you've been super active in the community. You've ran for county board at one point. So I'm just curious to hear what your thoughts on the Madison community are, the nonprofit community, and then also, how your work ties into supporting that community.
Man, I think that overall, I feel like Madison is a good community. I think that there's room for growth, and I think that at least the point that we are at socially right now, from what I'm seeing, is that Madison is starting to make the effort to make that progress and to grow and to get even better. That's part of the reason why I've been here so long, because I've enjoyed the community. The community's been good to me, so I try to be good to it. So, but yeah, I definitely embrace and am thankful to have a place like Madison to really work for social change. seeing and be able to identify the things that are going on and at least try to offer in a way that we feel is something that can be beneficial for the greater community at large. We've been able to do that with the work that we do, not only with the Bubbler, with the work that we do in the hip hop community with, different things, the Task Force on Equity and Entertainment. So like I said, I think that Madison is a great place to have the ideas and to launch, and it can be used for that. Like I said, it's a cool place and there's room to grow, and I see that Madison will continue to grow.
Yeah, and on that sort of frame of community, while we've all sort of moved into this digital realm, I know that you've been helping out with different things throughout the community. One of those in particular was Cafe Coda's event that they had recently, raising funds for them. Can you talk a little bit about how you personally have been supporting community through COVID, through different digital sort of things that you've been involved with?
I mean, I try to just offer help where I can. Like, for example, the event at Coda. It was part of the Black History Month celebration. So the event was called More Than 28 Days, where it's actually being able to talk about, Black history is more than just a month. It happens every day. So I think that's kind of cool. Some of the other things that we've been able to do is work with the Urban League on their cabaret this year, being able to host that. The Greater Madison Music City Project, which is kind of the next wave of what was the Task Force on Equity and Entertainment. We are now actually at the point where we're trying to get more communal involvement and going out and spreading the idea of having a place where everyone can have a voice. So that's kind of been one of the bigger things that we worked on as well. Yeah, I'm trying to think offhand, but yeah.
Yeah, let's chat a little bit about sort of the hip hop history in Madison, because the committee that you're talking about has sort of been, at the forefront of, for lack of a better word, acceptance of hip hop in the community. Because I know when I first moved here, they were trying to do shows at Majestic, and that, there was rules that were put in by the city council that sort of tried to stop this type of music. And obviously from an equity standpoint, that is just not really acceptable. So just talk a little bit about the work that you've done with that committee, and how it seems the city has sort of come maybe almost full circle, or maybe they still have some room to go in understanding. Right. But just curious about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, the Greater Madison Music City Project was something that evolved from the work that had been done with the Task Force for Equity and Entertainment, which was actually the work started 10 plus years ago. And I have to give a big shout out to Karen Reese, Karen Wolf from Madison Arts Commission, Mark Frere from Dane Arts, Walter Janikowski, Carol Schaefer, so many other people that have helped kind of put the work in. But the whole premise of that project is to really make sure that all voices are heard, and even in things, and even some of the things that we did from the task force report was even if voices being heard doesn't necessarily mean the people on stage. It's just simple things like we were talking about implementing, cultural bias training for venues. So the venues can be able to deal with crowds that they're not used to, and totally not do the things that make them look like, dude, why are you not booking?
Right.
So to be able to work with that, to talk about transportation, and effects on the city. This is citywide stuff that's kind of based from the idea of hip hop, but it's kind of spreads out. So there's about 31 suggestions that we made from the task force report, and now the Greater Madison Music City Project is really taking those ideas and kind of implementing an ecosystem or a plan to have a more inclusive arts and cultural community. To things like making sure that, festivals at least try to make it sense to have all representation of different genres. Things like that, making sure that there's proper booking and things like that. Teaching artists how to be more entrepreneurial in their efforts to be able to go and talk to venues. Education, how we have teaching artists. You look at all the budget cuts that are happening in schools. Well, kind of one of the things that we have is this kind of database of teaching artists that we want to be able to be able to come in and maybe help out filling the void that is now in there. So,
and that's really important because, it's not like sports are always so funded so well in a lot of education realms. And it's like, as we're cutting more things, it's like to arts and, music, like this is sort of that filler essentially that's missing, that is, desperately needed. So.
Definitely, man. I mean, even in the thought of, and when we talk about all voices, for example, the teaching artists that we implement, like in some cases in schools, some of these teaching artists may be the only faces of color that any kids see.
Yeah. But,
the inspiration that comes from that, or the motivation for a kid, that the sky's the limit when they see that. So I mean, it's really about providing that opportunity and really kind of creating this system where everybody is getting a chance to be heard. Like, if Madison, at least in my opinion, is like we're talking about being a truly progressive community, it has to be progression for everybody. And that's kind of what the work of GMMC is on the arts and cultural side of things.
Cool, awesome. Well, I, for our viewers that might not know who you are, I mean, they should at this point, but if you don't, so talk a little bit about your history and what you've done. So you're a hip hop art or rap sort of artist. I'm curious, what do you think is the highest moment of your career so far? What's the coolest like venue or like event that you've done? And then in your more professional career, I know you've met Michelle Obama, so we want to hear about that. And how is she? How cool is she? I mean, that's like the most awesome thing to be able to meet the First Lady of the United States.
Yeah, man. Probably one of the coolest things that I would say, it wasn't necessarily the largest, but it was one of the coolest, was I actually got a chance to perform in the Field House. This was a couple years back, but I opened up for Common at the Field House, and it was kind of cool.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, man. Well, it was cool because like as a kid, you watch stuff on TV and it's like live from the Field House, and then as an adult, you get a chance to kind of play, and you're like, dude, I'm in the Field House. Like, this is kind of cool. So.
Well, it's in your like home area. Like it's it's not just traveling around like venues. Like it is. You feel it in your heart because it's local too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. And that was definitely a big thing. Like, to be a Madison-based artist and to play at the Field House, it definitely was a very warming moment for me. So.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I actually did not know that about you yet.
Yes.
So. That's awesome. So tell us about Michelle Obama. What was that experience like going to the White House, accepting that award? Well, first tell people what the award was that you were accepting and then how that experience was.
Okay. So I was actually the community recipient for the National Medal of Honor for Library and Museum Services. So really, technically, I always have to clarify, it was the library's award. Sure. I was just a community person that got chosen to go. So it was a very cool experience. We got to go to the White House during the Obama administration towards the tail end of it. And it was just a super cool experience to really, for me, I always say the same thing. Like, I met history, like meeting the First Lady. I'm meeting Michelle Obama.
Right.
So, and she was a very cool person. I tried to be very straight-laced and serious, and I'm a hip hop artist. I can't smile, and finally she just kind of gave me a nudge, and I just broke out in this like big Kool-Aid grin.
Oh, that's great.
But it was just, you're meeting Michelle Obama. You can't really be like, nah, man, I'm not gonna.
No, right.
So yeah.
You got to show up in the tie and everything, anyways, and then you're like trying to keep it cool. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So anything else you want to share with the audience before we sort of cut things off here, like to share about the Bubbler? I know you said that you've been doing some stuff digitally for the public, so maybe a little bit about that, just what sort of services you're currently offering digitally through the Bubbler.
Well, right now, a lot of the stuff that we're doing is based in schools, so we're doing like virtual songwriting classes and things like that. I'm also finishing up with an intern that I had for this past semester who is actually doing a multimedia art exhibit that he's going to be premiering tonight as we speak. Well, it'll be coming out later, but it's still like, so it's just that kind of thing. But like I said, most of the activities that we're doing right now are basically songwriting experiences and teaching kids kind of how to properly express themselves. Obviously, not being in classrooms, we're not able to give kids a lot of the access to the equipment that we have right now.
Sure.
But like I said, the biggest thing has been just the interaction and being able to do, hey, let's just get you to share your truth. You know, we'll get to all the bells and whistles later, but right now we just want to get you to that point, and it's been a blast. So.
Yeah, because there's an artistry to the writing, but then there's also the artistry of producing as well.
Yes.
Right? So.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So one of my last questions then. So what's next for you? Do you have any highlights coming up, you know, in music or anything that you have going on, or is there anything you can talk about that you might be working on that we can share with our audience?
Okay.
I didn't tell him that I was going to ask this question, so.
Okay. Well, I guess I can finally say that I am approaching finishing a new project that I plan on releasing. The target date is to release it in May.
All right.
So it's coming.
Well, you heard it here first, people.
Yes. It's called He Speaks So Well.
All right.
I'll let you internalize that yourself.
This is breaking news, so you heard it here first on the Big Share Live. I want to thank you all for tuning in. As I mentioned at the beginning, you can give now to any nonprofit participating in the Big Share. We have 70 nonprofits participating. Go to www.thebigshare.org. A minimum donation of $5. If you're not able to give, you can share this video right now on your own social media. Include the hashtag CSW Big Share in that, and then we'll be sure to give you a like and a thumbs up for all the support that you're showing us. So yes, if you can give now, share on social, that's great. Rob, I want to thank you for taking the time to meet with us, and I really appreciate your time.
Cool. Sharing is caring.
There we go. All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Well, here we go. It simply has to be more than 28 days. For we are history in our everyday ways. Now, let it be known that our existence just to be here needs more mentioning than 28 or 29 in a leap year. We need more than 28 days. See, this goes from being brought here against our will, piled up in the bottom of ships until we reach the land not ours with a fight uphill, with efforts to break us with each lash we had to feel. That's why it's got to be more than 28 days. A push for us to use the creations that we made, then put it in a context where we were enslaved, delegated to a system where we had to behave. Now I bear the weight of ancestors sent to an early grave because freedom from bogus circumstances is what they crave. That's why it's got to be more than 28 days. From the Emancipation Proclamation to the Pride of Civil Rights, all we've ever wanted is to be seen in equal sight. From A. Phillip, Carter G., Angela to the Panthers. The only thing we've ever asked for is some answers. We bear our soul through every step of the game we master, like the autobiographicals of Richard portraying JoJo Dancer, showing our pain because of love that we are after. Generations before me taught me how to write this chapter. I am inspired for those that fought for a better day. Within the heat of the night, Sidney Poitier. I read about the sit-ins to get in where we fit in. We took the hoses and the dog attacks that left us bitten with hopes of changing the system that's been based in hate. But with love, we fight to change this mission. I'm cut from that cloth. That's why we need more than 28 days. See, I was born shortly after Malcolm and Martin were assassinated, before Jesse, John, and Al were elevated. I was raised in the era of the crack hit, and the mainstream threw us in jail real quick. Some shit they held us down so slick, plus having us focus on things like clothes, chains, and kicks, writing us off in certain situations. Like whoever told us to devalue a quality education? Who was the author of that type of narration that told us a story that we were limited to limitations? That became the case. Now we are facing the case. These are burdens we carry in the scenarios we face. Actions that ensure our stagnation, not too distant from the grasp of a plantation. This has got to change. So today, we change the narrative. Just surviving is not enough. It's time to live. Therefore, these are the days to get it straight. That's why I know it's got to be more than 28.